And in many cases, the body tried to warn them first. Not hours before, not minutes before, weeks before. The dangerous part is this. Most people ignore the signals because they do not look serious. They think it is stress, poor sleep, acidity, muscle pain, getting older. But the body speaks before the heart fails. The problem is that most people do not recognize the language. A heart attack rarely appears out of nowhere. In many cases, the arteries become unstable over time. Blood flow slowly gets worse. The heart struggles harder, and the body starts sending warning signals. Tonight, we are going to break down the 7 warning signs that research has linked to the weeks before a heart attack. You will learn why unusual fatigue can be dangerous, why jaw pain may have nothing to do with your teeth, why sleep problems sometimes begin in the heart, not the brain, and why one symptom almost everyone ignores can become deadly. We will also explain what is happening inside the arteries during this process, because once you understand the biology, the signals become impossible to ignore. And stay until the end, because the most important word in this entire video is the final word. One decision, one phone call, can save a life. Most people think a heart attack happens suddenly. That is not usually true. A heart attack is the final stage of a process that often takes years. Inside the coronary arteries, cholesterol, inflammation, and damaged cells slowly build up. This creates plaque. At first, these plaques may not block blood flow much at all. That is why many people feel normal for years. But the danger is not only blockage. The real danger is rupture. When a plaque becomes unstable, its outer surface can suddenly tear open. The moment that happens, the body treats it like an injury. Blood cells rush to the area. A clot forms rapidly, and within minutes the artery can become completely blocked. Once blood flow stops, heart muscle begins dying. This is a heart attack. The warning signs before a heart attack happen because the heart is already struggling before the final blockage occurs. Blood flow becomes unstable. Oxygen delivery becomes less efficient. Stress hormones increase. The nervous system reacts, and the body starts sending signals. The important thing to understand is this. The body almost never sends just one warning sign. It usually sends a pattern. Fatigue plus shortness of breath. Jaw pain plus indigestion. Sleep problems plus anxiety. One symptom alone may not mean much. Several together can mean everything. That is why recognizing the pattern matters more than memorizing one symptom. Your body notices the danger before your mind does. The question is whether you listen in time. The most common warning sign before a heart attack is not chest pain. It is fatigue, but not normal tiredness. This feels different. People describe it as heaviness, exhaustion, simple tasks suddenly feeling difficult. Walking upstairs feels harder. Carrying groceries feels strange. Even getting through the day feels unusually draining. As the coronary arteries become unstable, the heart must push with more effort. That extra workload increases stress hormones and reduces energy efficiency throughout the body. Muscles receive slightly less oxygen. The nervous system becomes strained. The body enters a low-level emergency state, and the brain interprets this as fatigue. Research found that unusual fatigue was one of the most commonly reported symptoms in the weeks before a heart attack, especially in women. The key word is unusual. Not tired because you slept late. Not tired after hard work. This is fatigue that feels out of proportion to your activity. And it often does not improve with rest. That is what makes it dangerous. Most people dismiss it. They blame work, stress, age. Meanwhile, the heart continues struggling in silence. Fatigue by itself does not always mean heart disease. But unexplained fatigue, combined with other symptoms from this video, should never be ignored. Your body reduces energy output when survival becomes the priority. Sometimes exhaustion is not laziness. Sometimes it is a warning. One of the strangest warning signs before a heart attack appears at night. People become exhausted during the day. But when they try to sleep, something feels wrong. They wake up repeatedly. They cannot relax fully. Their sleep becomes light and broken. And even after sleeping, they still feel tired. This happens because the nervous system becomes overstimulated when the heart is under stress. The body quietly enters fight or flight mode. Stress hormones increase. Heart rhythm changes slightly. Breathing becomes less efficient. The brain stays alert even when the body wants rest. Many people think they are simply anxious. But sometimes the anxiety starts in the cardiovascular system itself. Another major warning sign is shortness of breath. At first, it may seem small. Walking upstairs suddenly feels harder. A short walk leaves you unusually winded. Simple physical effort feels heavier than normal. This happens because the heart is struggling to pump oxygen-rich blood efficiently. When circulation weakens, the body notices immediately. The lungs work harder. Breathing speeds up. And oxygen demand increases. In some people, shortness of breath appears without chest pain at all. That is why it becomes dangerous. People assume they are out of shape, or gaining weight, or simply getting older. But when breathing changes suddenly without a clear reason, the body may be signaling reduced blood flow to the heart. The most important detail is change. If your normal physical activities suddenly feel harder, pay attention. The body adapts slowly to aging. It does not suddenly lose capacity for no reason. New sleep problems plus new shortness of breath is a combination doctors take very seriously. Because together, they can signal that the heart is already under pressure long before the actual attack happens. This is where heart attack warning signs become dangerous. Because they stop looking like heart problems. One of the most commonly ignored symptoms before a heart attack is indigestion. A burning feeling in the chest. Pressure in the upper stomach. Acid reflux that seems unusual. Many people take antacids and move on. But the heart and digestive system share overlapping nerve pathways. When the heart becomes stressed from reduced blood flow, the brain can misread the signal as coming from the stomach instead. That is why cardiac pain is sometimes felt as heartburn, especially when it appears during physical activity, or after stress, or alongside fatigue and shortness of breath. The important clue is this: normal indigestion usually improves with treatment. Cardiac-related discomfort often does not. It may feel deeper, heavier, more pressurized, and sometimes it comes with nausea or sweating. Another strange warning sign is jaw pain, especially on the left side. Some people feel aching in the jaw. Others feel pain in the neck, shoulder, or even teeth. This happens because the nerves carrying pain signals from the heart connect to nearby nerve pathways in the upper body. The brain becomes confused about where the pain is truly coming from. This is called referred pain, and it causes many people to completely misunderstand the warning. They visit a dentist, massage their neck, take painkillers. Meanwhile, the real problem is happening inside the coronary arteries. The dangerous part is that jaw pain before a heart attack is often subtle, not sharp, not dramatic, just strange, persistent, and unexplained, especially during physical effort or emotional stress. When unusual jaw pain appears together with fatigue, breathing problems, or chest discomfort, it should never be ignored. Because sometimes the heart does not scream. Sometimes it whispers from another part of the body. One of the most disturbing warning signs before a heart attack is anxiety that feels physical. Not normal stress. Not worrying about work or money. Something deeper. People often describe it as a sense that something is wrong. A strange feeling of danger. restlessness, unease. Some even describe a feeling of doom they cannot explain. This happens because the heart and nervous system are directly connected. When blood flow becomes unstable, stress signals travel to the brain before pain fully develops. The brain senses threat, but it cannot always identify the source. So instead, the body creates anxiety. That is why some people feel intense fear before a heart attack without understanding why. The body notices danger before the conscious mind catches up. Another major warning sign is arm discomfort. Most people know about left arm pain during a heart attack. But before the event happens, the symptom is often much more subtle. It may feel like heaviness, a dull ache, weakness in the shoulder or upper arm. Sometimes it comes and goes. Sometimes it appears only during physical effort. Again, this happens because the heart shares nerve pathways with the shoulder, arm, and upper back. The brain receives the distress signal but misinterprets the location. And because the pain feels muscular, people often ignore it, especially if there is no chest pain. But the combination matters. Fatigue, shortness of breath, jaw pain, anxiety, arm discomfort. When these symptoms start appearing together, the body may be warning that the coronary arteries are becoming unstable. And this is what makes heart disease so dangerous. The warning signs often seem unrelated, until later, when everything suddenly connects at once. Heart attacks do not happen randomly. Certain conditions make the arteries far more vulnerable long before symptoms appear. The biggest risk factor is smoking. Smoking damages the inner lining of blood vessels. It increases inflammation, makes blood clot more easily, and weakens plaque stability inside the arteries. High blood pressure is another major danger. Every heartbeat pushes force against artery walls. Over time, that pressure damages the lining and accelerates plaque buildup. Diabetes is especially dangerous. High blood sugar damages blood vessels continuously. It increases inflammation and speeds up artery disease much faster than normal aging. High cholesterol also plays a major role. Excess LDL cholesterol becomes trapped inside artery walls. Over time, it forms the plaques that eventually rupture. Family history matters too. If close relatives had heart disease early in life, your own risk increases significantly. But here is the dangerous part. Some people with heart attacks have none of these major risk factors. That shocked researchers for years. Now we know that inflammation, poor sleep, chronic stress, obesity, insulin resistance, and lack of exercise can silently damage the cardiovascular system even before traditional warning markers appear. This is why some people look healthy on the outside, while dangerous plaque quietly develops inside their arteries. And this is why symptoms should never be ignored simply because someone seems healthy. The body cares more about biology than appearances. A fit-looking person can still have unstable plaque. A young person can still have dangerous inflammation. And someone with normal cholesterol can still suffer a heart attack. Risk is not always visible. That is why awareness matters. Because the earlier artery disease is detected, the more preventable it becomes. The worst heart attack is often the first symptom people truly notice. And by then, the emergency has already begun. One of the biggest problems in heart disease is this: women often experience different symptoms than men. And because of that, their warning signs are ignored more often. Most people imagine a heart attack the same way. A man grabs his chest, falls down. Severe pain shoots into the left arm. That does happen. But women frequently experience something very different. Their symptoms are often quieter, more confusing, and easier to dismiss. Instead of crushing chest pain, women may experience extreme fatigue, nausea, jaw pain, back pain, shortness of breath, sleep problems, indigestion. This is one reason heart disease in women is sometimes diagnosed too late. Research found that many women reported unusual exhaustion weeks before their heart attack. Not dramatic pain, just overwhelming fatigue that felt abnormal. And because the symptoms looked less classic, many delayed seeking help. Even more concerning, women with unusual cardiac symptoms are statistically less likely to receive immediate heart evaluations in emergency settings compared to men. That delay can become deadly. Another important fact is that women sometimes experience heart problems without major artery blockage. Smaller blood vessels can become damaged or dysfunctional even when large arteries appear relatively normal. This means standard tests sometimes miss the problem. The key message is simple. Heart disease does not always look dramatic, especially in women. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion, stress, poor sleep, or anxiety. That is why recognizing patterns matters more than waiting for one massive symptom. Because the body rarely sends only one signal. It sends clues. And the earlier those clues are understood, the greater the chance of preventing a tragedy before it happens. Most people think a normal blood test means their heart is healthy. That is not always true. Standard tests are useful, but they do not catch everything. Some people have dangerous artery disease for years before it becomes visible through routine screening. That is why certain advanced tests can be extremely important. One powerful test is called hsCRP. This measures inflammation inside the body, and inflammation plays a major role in heart disease. Even when cholesterol levels look normal, high inflammation can still make plaques unstable and dangerous. Another important test is a coronary calcium scan. This scan looks directly for calcium deposits inside the coronary arteries. In simple words, it searches for hidden plaque buildup. The scan takes only a few minutes, but the information can be life-changing. A high calcium score means plaque is already developing inside the arteries, even if symptoms have not appeared yet. Another important marker is lipoprotein A, also called Lp(a). This is a genetic cholesterol-related particle linked to early heart disease. Many people have high Lp(a) without knowing it because it is not included in standard cholesterol tests. And finally, blood sugar and insulin resistance matter far more than many people realize. Years before diabetes appears, insulin resistance quietly damages blood vessels and increases inflammation throughout the body. This is why heart disease often develops silently for years before the first major event occurs. The dangerous part about cardiovascular disease is that it grows quietly. There may be no obvious symptoms early on, no dramatic warning, no visible damage. Just slow plaque buildup over time. That is why prevention matters more than treatment. Because once an artery fully blocks, every minute becomes critical. The earlier risk is discovered, the more time exists to stop the process before disaster happens. And sometimes one simple test can reveal a danger that would otherwise stay hidden until it becomes an emergency. We covered 7 warning signs tonight. Unusual fatigue, sleep problems, shortness of breath, indigestion, jaw pain, anxiety, arm discomfort. None of these symptoms automatically mean a heart attack is coming. But when several appear together, especially in someone with cardiovascular risk factors, they should never be ignored. Because the body often warns before the emergency begins. The tragedy is that many people wait. They tell themselves it will pass. They wait until morning. Wait until the weekend. Wait until the pain becomes unbearable. And sometimes that delay becomes fatal. So here is the most important word in this entire video: call. Call emergency services if symptoms feel severe. Call your doctor if the warning signs are building gradually. Call for help even if you are unsure. Because it is far safer to be wrong than to stay silent during a cardiac emergency. Heart muscle begins dying within minutes once blood flow stops. Every second matters. The faster treatment begins, the greater the chance of survival and recovery. And one more thing. Do not only remember these symptoms for yourself. Remember them for the people you love, your parents, your spouse, your friends. Someone around you may already be experiencing these warning signs without understanding what they mean. That knowledge can save a life. Heart attacks are not always sudden. Sometimes the body spends weeks trying to protect us, trying to warn us, trying to be heard. The question is whether we listen before it is too late. Share this video with someone you care about. Because awareness is not just information. Sometimes awareness is survival.